Hey guys, Izabella Ritz and Amazon Made Simple podcast. Today we have something interesting. I'm not the one who is interviewing, and I am being interviewed by Don from AccrueMe, and I believe you already saw the podcast with him. So he decided, like, Bella, you're always talking about other people, so let's talk about you. And without any doubts, and I was not hesitating, I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. So today the interview is about me. Don, welcome again. And
Oh, my
I'm
pleasure.
here and ready to answer all your questions.
All right. Well, I have to tell you, I'm really excited about this. I go to all of these conferences and I see Izabella and the team there from Ritz Momentum, and it always feels good because it's always very positive. It's uplifting. The colors are always, bright and sunny, and you see Isabella's face and her team's face, and they're all smiling and having a good time. And everybody knows them. Everybody respects them. There's no question. It's a tremendous organization. So I know I have questions, and I imagine everybody has questions. Knowing that you came from Russia, and how you did it all is really such a journey. So let's dig into the journey. Let's start with, if you don't mind, with where you were brought up in Russia, and what was it like? And I have no idea. So where in Russia? And tell us a little bit about your story.
Of course. So I was born in Soviet Union, the country that does not exist anymore.
Right.
And I think I was I was born in Moscow, so it's a capital. It's a first capital. If you remember, like a little bit of history, the St. Petersburg back to the history, it was Leningrad, and it was renamed as St. Petersburg, and Leningrad again, and St. Petersburg again. So Moscow is the capital number one. St. Petersburg is the capital number two. So I was born in Moscow, and at some point, I think I was lucky because I saw the actual history of changing Russia, because I went through the 90s, and 90s they've been like very, very harsh for Russia when Soviet Union transformed to Russian Federation, and a lot of crime came up, and like we started learning what business is. So we got some liberty and some freedom. People started traveling, churches opened up because people couldn't go to the church, people couldn't go overseas. It's been a crime to listen for some American music or Western music, so you could not buy anything from overseas because it was crime. People could go to jail for that. So all like the simple stuff that we have right now became real. And of course, with the freedom comes crime. And like we had a lot of crime on the streets. It was like pretty dangerous. But at the same time, we went through this, I think, for like 6-7 years. And then Russia became like a real country when became a real country when we started like actually doing some real stuff. So the time when I graduated my school, I was able already to run my personal business, my own
Wow.
business.
Wow.
So something that was absolutely ridiculous and impossible for my parents, I was able to have it. And I went through from the point A when we couldn't buy food, and we've been buying food based on stamps, to like when we had everything on the shelves and we could buy anything we want. So, and it happened
Wow.
like super quick and fast. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I've read a lot about the changes in Russia at that time and the Soviet Union turning into Russia and all the craziness and the opportunities as well. And, some billionaires were created at that time, and, fair or not fair, it is what it is. And very, very interesting. So when you said you got out of school and you started your first business, out of school meaning high school, college,
Yeah.
grammar school, what was it?
So in Russia is absolutely different approach to like school education and everything else. School is only school, and with generally speaking, they don't have any uh, division in between
Wow.
like elementary, middle, and high school. It's all school. So when you're going, you can go to college. Here in United States, college is good, right? So it's something prestige. In Russia, the meaning of college is something like, so you're not going to
Really?
college. Yeah, you don't want to go to college unless you want to become like handyman or like you
Huh.
want to cook something or you want to be a tailor. So it's like it's something simple. It's mostly like blue collar people jobs. So your goal is to go to the university or academy.
I
So
see.
I went to academy, and then my academy became as a university because they proved that like now like the standards of this institution is are different. So I went through academy to university. So I've been graduating from university, and I got my 2 degrees. But all these degrees I was going through being at the same time when I was doing my business. And by the time I graduated, I sold my 2 businesses already, and I had
Wow.
yeah, and I was pregnant with my second one at the time of the graduation of my first degree. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What a story. That's amazing. So what were the businesses?
The first one was Business Training Center. I opened it when I was 17. And back to Russia, you can ask me like how at 17 years old you can open LLC. You cannot. And back
Oh,
to so 17, it was the year of 2000. I opened the company. Genuinely speaking, I didn't have to have LLC, so I just created something that's been working the mechanism. And when I turned 18, I opened the LLC. And when this LLC was like about 6 months old, the business overall was about 1 year, 6 months. And we've been kind of on a peak of sales and everything went well, but I didn't have enough to actually buy the car. And I really wanted a car. Like 18 years old, you want a car. It's your dream. You want a car.
yeah.
You're not thinking about something else. You want a car. And I'm like, probably it's a good approach to sell the business. I don't know how at 18 years old I could figure it out and like imagine that I can like sell the business back to Russia. And I found out that it was actually a thing. So people been selling their businesses. And I sold it successfully for $35,000. 1 million rubles is a
Wow.
lot. Like just letting you know, it's been a lot of money. And then the second business I sold was web studio. So I created the
Web
web
studio.
studio design. Yeah, we've been designing the websites. When I'm at the year of like 2022, I'm remembering how our website's been looked like. I'm like, damn, sorry, I thought I did the focus, so no disturb me, not disturb me again. Duplicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, and when I created I remember how we've been creating these websites. I'm like, damn, those websites right now are bad.
Yeah.
But back to 2000, 2001, 2003, they've been pretty cool. And like, I remember we've been learning about Java and HTML, and
Wow.
it's been some other plugins. One like this whole picture's been moving. I'm like, wow, we've been doing such a good job. But then, like right now, you can say, no, it's bad. Anyway, it's been working back to that time, and I sold this company for 60K.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
I was like,
And that was
start.
like a year after the other one?
It was, let me see, it was 2001. I sold the first one. 2003, I sold the second one. So in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
That's incredible.
those been two first ones.
And then what did you do?
Then I got married, and I got my Lisa, and I realized, okay, so after I sold the company, those money are kind of melted, so I have to do something. And I started looking and searching for business ideas. I'm like, I don't know what should I start, what should I do. And I posted my resume. I'm like, I want to be a sales manager. What is the better approach at this moment like that, you can find some niche that you are not even thinking about, as someone is going to hire you as a salesman, just like, and you'll be able to learn what it is, what the business is like, how this business is working. And I got an offer to work for the company that was interior design company. I'm like, interesting, is it a thing? And it was a thing. People been actually doing interior designs a lot. And the guy who was selling his services, he did not sign any contracts that I actually sold. So people have been ready to sign up, and they've been ready to move forward. But he didn't sign up them. I don't know, like, he was not responsible. And I'm like, okay, I can fix this. I can sign up people. I like, if they're ready to pay, I can make it happen. Then his services cost was being like, I think it was 35,000 rubles, and I could make it more affordable. I'm like, okay, so I will make it cheaper, and I was able to make it cheaper. And then I learned how his mechanism work without actually owning the business. And I'm like, okay, he's failing here, 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 here. I will fix all these mistakes. I will apply to my business. I will make this service work for the customers. And they did. And I launched this business without, and like, my personal approach was like, you have to test the niche first. Like, you're
Mhm.
testing the niche, you're checking if you can get the leads, if you can sign the contracts, and then you're starting building your business. And I was on this track. I created the advertisement. I worked on the marketing the best as I could at the time with the instruments I had. We didn't had much. Uh, and it worked. I started getting a lot of requests, like, we need to do this, we need to do that. One person, that my first contract was when someone requested the painting of their walls with like some ridiculous like characters on the wall. I'm
And
like,
I hope that person's not watching today, because they're going to hear
no.
you say some ridiculous character on their wall.
Yeah, well, that's been so many years ago. And he's like, can you do that? I'm like, yes, we can do that. And I'm like, shoot, now I have to find like some artists who actually can do that.
Yeah.
And I was just in between the clients, and I had to find now the people who can actually uh, make it happen. So I found the people, we signed the contract, we accomplished, customer was happy, I was happy, the artist was happy. I'm like, perfect. We are moving forward. And I started like literally signing
Wow.
the contract and hiring people on the way. This is how I built interior design studio. And this one I sold in 2007. And that was my first year when I exited the business, that I was kind of tired of. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do interior designs again. But then in a year, I'm like, you know what? I kind of miss it. I feel that like I want to do it again. And we didn't have any non-compete, nothing. And I was checking how this person is doing with her, with like the business I sold to her. Like, okay, let's try it again. I'm like, and I created the new one. So it was double two.
Wow. So
I
this is business
replicated.
number 4.
Yeah, this is business number 4. And I created it again. And then I sold it again in a couple years. And then I created it again. So
Holy cow.
it's been some differentiations with this business, because I was aiding construction, I was aiding architecture, I was aiding landscape. So I was like aiding a lot of different stuff. But in between, like selling, like when I was selling those businesses, I was also launching something else. And it's been like infographic studio, marketing studio,
Wow.
the target ads studio. So we've been creating like Google ads, Yandex ads, and like all different ads. So we've been able to target people to create actual advertisement. So by the time I had my last interior design studio, we've been doing all this stuff. So we knew how to run campaigns. I knew how to sell stuff online. So, and that's why when I came to United States, it's been kind of easier for me to launch something and to launch my business on Amazon, because I understood how SEO works, how
Yeah.
ads works. And I'm like, I'll figure out with Amazon too. Uh, so
That's
yeah.
that's amazing. So I don't know if I counted right, but I think it was either 7 or 8 businesses that you started while you were young in Russia before you left.
In total, I sold 12
12.
in
That's
my back
amazing.
to Moscow. Yeah.
Your family must have looked at you like, wow, she's amazing. This is incredible.
They've been judging me all the time. That was judging, 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 judging. But
All right. So
anyway, it is what it
you
is.
have do you have brothers and sisters?
No, I'm just by myself. And
Oh,
that was the thing, because I always wanted to have a family, and I wanted to have siblings, and I was just me.
oh wow. Well, now you have children and another one on the way and a
Yep.
husband. And so now you leave Russia and you're coming to the United States. What was the decision like? Was it a tough decision? Was it scary? What was the decision like?
It was not the scary decision. I was looking to the country that I want to live for 10 years, I believe, or maybe a little bit more, because the moment I turned 18, I started traveling all over the world, because I never wanted to stay in Russia. I never wanted to live there. I always wanted like to move to another planet, because I am very disagreeable with like power, with the politics, with the approach Russia has, because you can make money, you cannot make money legally, and like it's a bunch of like, it's a complexity of stuff that you don't want to have in your life, and you want to make sure your kids are not struggling with all those. And I was
Yeah.
traveling about like 30 countries, 35 maybe. No, 30
Wow.
countries is only with kids. Yeah, and I think I calculated something like close to 40. Right now I know it's not the thing. A lot of people are traveling and they're like, I've been in like 60 countries, 70 countries. So I traveled to about 40 countries. And one day, after we lived in Spain, then we lived in Thailand, and our visa in Thailand was like finishing. I'm like, well, what's next? We have to come back to Moscow to like get visa somewhere else, but I'm not going to live in Moscow, period. So we decided, let's try United States. And I always been like, no, everybody going to United States, why should I go there? It's like so popular, blah blah blah. Okay, whatever, let's try. And we went to United States, and I'm like, oh, it's actually nice. Now we understand what people talking about United States. So good. Yeah, and we stayed, and here we are.
And you landed in Florida? Is that where you started?
Yeah, we landed in Jacksonville. I mean, we landed in New York, but it was just the connection
Yeah,
flight.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like the final destination was Jacksonville.
That's right. I remember your cell phone number is a 904, and
Yeah,
I used to have a house right over there as well. I have a couple of down there. I
yeah,
love the area. And now
yeah.
you're down in Orlando area.
And now we're down in Orlando area, and we love it so much.
That's
And
great.
yeah, like it's not on the beach, but generally speaking, in United States, if you want to live on the beach, it's California, where like you have to pay a lot of taxes. And my personal approach, I'm like, well, unless you're making the ridiculous amount of money, uh to pay so much taxes is not reasonable. So that's why I don't want to go to California, even I like California. I don't want to go to Miami, because it's a lot of traffic, like
Yes, it is.
everywhere, and I hate traffic. And living, for example, in Jacksonville, nothing, like you don't have a lot of infrastructure, like it's very industrial city, you don't want to stay there. But Orlando is kind of in the middle. It's a central Florida. You can go to St. Pete, you can go to Miami when you need, which
Yep,
we're doing. uh, Tampa is right there, Jacksonville if you need it, and it's international airport, so you can go whatever you want. So
exactly.
yeah, and we have access to two oceans, like Gulf
Yes.
and Atlantic. So I
Yeah.
think this location is perfect, and a lot of things to do for kids too.
Oh,
So
tons of family things.
yeah,
And
yep,
and one of the great things for a business owner is the airport. Not only is it international, but you can get, just like in New York, you can get a direct flight anywhere from
yep,
Orlando.
yep,
Everybody flies to Disney, so
correct.
it's a really really well run airport as well.
Yep.
Uh, that's fantastic. So now, when did you start the Amazon business? Did you start it when you were in Russia, or did you start it when you came here?
I came here. I had some capital. I lost this capital here. I was like, I was not smart enough to learn based on my previous mistakes, and I was like, I trusted people here, and they cheated, and I'm like, ah, damn. Well, I lost everything I had, and I my leftovers been just $5,000. And I was looking at like, what can I do? What should I do? I'm like, okay, Amazon. People are talking about Amazon a lot. Let's try. And I tried Amazon.
What
I
year was
invest.
this?
It was 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2015. It was October, end of September. Yeah, at end of September, I ordered stuff. I was lucky because it was Q4. I was lucky because Amazon was super simple. And we've been lucky that like the return was super fast because I had to pay for living expenses, I had to pay for the daycare, I had to pay for a lot of stuff, and I invested on Amazon last $5,000. So I had like literally 200
Wow.
bucks in my account. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, hopefully it's gonna work. Yeah, and I got my return from Amazon of 14,000 in January, and I was able to cover all my expenses for February and March. And I was like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, yeah, it's working. And then I just started like genuinely speaking, and here my uh, Amazon journey started because I was able to learn how to launch the product, how to fail the product, and it was not so scary anymore because I already knew the instruments, how it's
Yeah.
supposed to work. And then you remember like a lot of different struggles being like in 2017 when Amazon started changing their policies, their rules. It's already a different game. But yeah, this is how I started.
Well, that's fantastic. I have to ask you that when you started the business with your last 5,000, you have two children at the time,
Three.
three at that time. You're in
Yeah.
a new country. You have $200 left in your bank account. How did you sleep?
Well, I sometimes I had to find extra cash to pay for the living. And I was still squeezing something for my business, for my leftovers business in Russia. I was nervous. I was stressed, but based on my personality, I was always figuring it out. And I
Yeah,
was
that
kind
is
of,
your
well,
personality.
yeah. And I'm like, well, I'll figure it out. If like, what worse can happen? Like, I will find the way. I will find the way, and I will try to make it happen. Like, do something. But yeah, I was scared. I definitely was scared. I had a fear, but I had a courage. It's no courage without fear.
Yeah, I agree. And fear can either shut you down or it can drive you forward.
Yeah,
And I find the real winners in the world use fear to drive forward. And I'm going to make this happen no matter what.
yeah,
And that's who you are. You are that person that makes things happen. I am, from outside the e-commerce industry. My career is in a whole bunch of other things, and I'm only in e-commerce the last few years. And I look at what you have done and what you have built and what what your knowledge set is, and it's overwhelming to me. I can't even imagine somebody. If I was a seller starting my business, I would try to do everything maybe at first, and then realize that I would get overwhelmed and it would be just too much. Or if I'm trying to grow my business, it might be too much to handle all of the things that need to be done. And then, coming to a company like yours, where you could do everything for me, or you could do pieces for me, whatever it's going to be to take my business to the next level, and then to the next level and to the next level. But I think it's just amazing, because that's exactly what I would do, is go to you and help me grow my business. So how, I wanted to ask you how you learned all of this, because to me it's overwhelming, but I can see with your background, you learned so many pieces along the way. And so, then you learn Amazon, and you have so much of a background that most people don't have and will never have. So just tell me a little bit about, learning more about Amazon, growing in this business, deciding to, take your Amazon seller business and creating an agency to help other sellers. So that's a lot of questions there. So
Yeah. Thank you for the question. It's actually great. So I will do a little bit backup. When
sure.
I had a couple of businesses in Russia, every single one had bad time. And it's no way when, like, if someone will tell me that his or her business been always successful, I would never believe. It's
I
not
agree.
true unless, I don't know, maybe it exists, but it's not common. Let's say it is
No.
not common, right? So, and I had bad times, but at the same time, when you have a bad time, you still have your employees, you still have to pay the bills, you still have to
That's right.
survive.
That's right. Yep.
And right now, a lot of people are working remotely, and as you can see, like, our office is like empty right now because some people are still staying home, but they've been here yesterday, they probably will come back in the middle of the day, and they will come tomorrow. So we are remotely partially right now, so we don't have to have all people in house. We're back to like when I was running business in Russia, we've been always having people in the
Right.
office, so you have to pay all those. And I remember how I learned about influencers because in about 2006, 2007, all these influencers popped up and they started creating blogs, talking, like a lot of forums being back to that time. You remember probably chats when people been chatting
Yep.
a lot.
Sure.
So, and I decided, let me try to advertise my business through the influencers, through the bloggers. And I did. And within 24 hours, I got so many customers. You
Wow.
cannot believe. I was like, damn, Gina, it's working. So with this type of background, you're absolutely correct. It's much easier to run your business here. And it's maybe if I will go somewhere else, I will be able to do it high likely just because I have these pieces going through in my life.
Yeah.
And I know, like, okay, if we're doing product launch is based on ABCXYZ and influencers. Because on Amazon, if you're launching your business right now, it's pretty hard doing with PPC only. It is
Yeah.
possible, of course it is. But if you're adding influencers, you will get such a big push of your sales. You can only imagine. So, and same
Hmm.
happened with the agency. Because I told you my first business was business training center, so I was teaching people, and we had a lot of trainings, and we had a lot of trainers, and I never stopped teaching people. So it's been always it's been my through like my whole life, and I'm still doing it from time to time when I just want to, and sometimes I'm doing it for free just because it's something that I love to do. However, at some point back to 2018, 2019, I realized that the Amazon business is the very complicated and technical. So it's pretty hard to teach people to do it right. And we started doing stuff for them. I'm like, you know what? It's much easier to do it for you or instead of you. And people, like, they answered, their answer for all this been so good. They're like, oh, I'm actually ready to pay for it because I don't want to learn. It is complicated, it is hard. Just do it for me, but I want to understand how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And we started giving away people like the courses, so they've been able to learn how to do that. But at the same time, we've been doing stuff for them, so they're not blind. They understand what we're doing, but at the same time, they cannot do it by themselves. This is how the agency been born. And again, because of the background, all
Yeah.
these pieces came together. So understanding what SEO is, understanding what ads is, understanding external traffic, because one of my companies did this. We also did SEO CEO. Of course, this helped.
You did
Uh,
what?
SEO, like search engine optimization.
Oh, SEO. Yes,
SEO,
SEO.
yeah.
Yeah,
This worked, right? And the combination of all, generally speaking, all of these companies I had is everything we do right now.
yeah,
So SEO, ads, the only part I learned here is the product validation. But at the same time, we've been doing so many designs back to Russia where I like, okay, so I understand what consumers want and how people are choosing the products, how people are buying. I've been learning the uh, consumers' behavior so much where we started implementing it here. I'm like, oh, actually, this is how we've been doing there. It just right now it's more modern. You have more tools, you have more vision, you have like more opportunities to do that easier. And you have so many approaches and again tools and software where you can test any of your ideas.
yeah.
So yeah,
That,
that's why probably this mechanism works.
it's amazing. So, with your clients, you also have training programs to teach them, along the way of what you're doing for them.
So we have in Russian language, and what I'm working right now is I started creating the course for people who speak English, and for now it will be free, or maybe we will do it like something like $59 or whatever, so it will be super cheap or free just to give people access and understand what we are doing, how Amazon works, what they're supposed to know, what were they supposed to be careful. It's like we are doing all these pieces to make sure we can provide the same type of services and value for English speaking community as well.
That's amazing. So, are most of your clients Russian speaking, or are they English natives? What are they?
We're finally at the point where we have, I think, 60-40, maybe 70-30, where like 70 is 60-70 are English speaking and 30-40 are Russian speaking. So our goal to, because we are here, we want to be inside of the English speaking community. However, because I'm an immigrant and there are a lot of immigrants, Russian speaking immigrants here who don't understand English, who don't understand mentality, and you
Mm-hmm.
cannot create the product if you don't understand mentality of your consumer.
Right.
Like when I'm doing the polls in my community, like for example, like do you like this case, and I'm doing the same for Americans, results are different. They
Interesting.
are different. And if you will just think, well, like when people are learning languages, every single language is changing your mindset and like the way how you're thinking, because the sentence structure,
Mm-hmm.
because like in English, for example, you're saying I'm hungry, you're using three words, and in Russian language you'll say I want eat. So doesn't make,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you will understand me, but it's different.
Right. Right.
And generally speaking, and so it's two different structures. The meaning will be the same, but the structure is different. So your brain's
Yeah.
supposed to work differently. So you have two verbs that you have
Amazing.
like to talk, and when you're explaining something in Russia, you have just one verb. So you don't use the like two verbs at the same time. So and it's like so many things, and like your mentality is thinking different. And 8 hours difference with the time zone, sometimes
Yeah.
12, is also making difference because people are living with a different brain perspective.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to keep helping people who are coming here from like Russian speaking countries, and they're immigrants, they don't understand but they want to. And we
Yeah.
want to help Americans and English speaking people who also don't, not all of them are actually been born here. America is the
Right.
country of immigrants.
That's right.
uh, to like make their businesses successfully, because we already understand, and like the majority of my team, they've been born here.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting with AccrueMe. done everything, not just in English, but also in Spanish, because there's like something like 70 million Americans who their native language is Spanish. They're more comfortable. They'll speak English, but they are much more comfortable speaking their native language. And then we have Latin America right just south of us.
Right
So,
here. Yeah.
it's been fantastic for us. We love it. And we're helping people that, they don't have other places to go. There's nobody else in the industry doing it. You're doing the same thing. That's fantastic. So I have to ask you on the language side, when did you start learning English? What age were you?
Well, besides school, which I would not consider as a English learning, because it's like when I came here and you cat, dog, high and by, this, and this. And I think I told you once, when we spoke, I think the previous time, or like some events, when I was learning English here, I went through approaches such as like, I had my experience was based on, like, let's say I have to set up utility, and I was calling to electricity company, and I think it was Gia in Jacksonville, and I was like, guys, you overcharged me, and I was talking in a very broken English. I'm like, you overcharged me. I paid twice or whatever times it
Yeah.
is, and they're like, ma'am, we're crediting you. I'm like, I do not need a credit. I do not need a credit, because for me, credit was financing. And
Oh,
I could pay.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
here, my brain was stuck. They're like, man, we're crediting. I'm like, I don't need a credit. I don't need a credit. I need my money back. So, and I was yelling at them. I was already like probably red. And I was like, so that was my journey, how I was learning English, because I was not just learning the words, I was learning the like slang, and
Yeah,
again, English and British English, they're different.
that's right.
So yeah,
Interesting. All right, I want to move on. So,
yeah,
with Ritz Momentum, how many employees do you have?
we have 52.
52 employees. That's
Yeah, we should
amazing.
cut a little bit, but yeah, we have 52.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And where are they located? Are they here in the United States? Are they
So
in Russia?
we have people here. We do not have people in Russia because we just can't. We would happy to hire them. There are so many talented people in Russia.
Yeah.
We just cannot pay them anyway. Like the all payment systems are cut out.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have couple people in Ukraine. We have people in Latin America. We have people in Philippines. We have in Hungary, United Kingdom, some other countries in Europe, and I think that's it. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's just
Yeah.
it's absolutely amazing. Congratulations. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
So as a seller, what would be the number one reason I would want to come to Ritz Momentum? Like, if I'm going to call you, I'm a seller, I'm doing whatever, I'm struggling. What would be the one thing, as opposed to giving you everything to do, what would be the number one thing that I would want to take off my back and ask you to help with?
So when you're coming to us, we're asking what's your main struggle, and what are your expectations. So we're not trying to sell you something that you don't need. We're not trying to oversell you. We're not trying to upsell you because we want just have more revenue. For us, it's important what you need. For us, it's
Yeah.
important how we can help you. Of course, we're not doing it for free. However, we want to make sure the money you're investing to our help will be valuable for you. So it will not be, I paid Ritz Momentum and something went wrong, because it's already business, it's already risk, it's already high risk, high potential. It's so many risks that we're trying our best to reduce it. So when we're doing product validation, for example, we're doing with the purpose to reduce your personal risk to launch your new product, or your listing is not working and we're trying to increase conversion. Also, now we implemented the new approach where before we were optimizing your listing, we are validating your product if your product is good enough for this market today.
So you do
And
the analysis beforehand?
yeah, I decided that that will be the right way to go about it, because I don't want people to have experience when they will come to us saying, I want to increase my conversion on my listing. We'll say, yeah, we have to do ABCYZ. And then nothing happened. But nothing happened not because we didn't do a good job with the improving graphics or SEO or something else, just because the product is not correct or it's not the right time or something else. So I rather to find the cause, the root of cause, like why it's not working,
Right.
before we will start charging and like looking and trying to work on some
So
improvement.
that's the process. So I come to you, you look at my overall account, you look at everything I'm doing, you look at the product, the time of year, who it's targeted to, the listing, my advertising, everything. And then you
Yeah,
come
it
back and then you
depends.
make a suggestion.
Yeah, and then we'll make a suggestion what actually you're supposed to do.
So there's no risk for me to come to you.
It is always risk because it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
However, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. So if you still want to move forward, even like we told you you shouldn't, you're more than welcome. It's your responsibility. We're not babying people. We're just trying to be transparent and honest with every single one.
But is there any charge for you to do the analysis?
The surface analysis is always free.
So there's no risk for me to come to you and say, what should I do? And then you come back to me and say, we need to help you do this, this, and this.
Yes, that's correct.
And then my business just takes off.
Well, hopefully it is. But yeah, the surface analysis is always free. If we have to dig deeper and like to do like 2-3 days analysis, then we will charge for that.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
So what is your role in the company, and what would you say, because 52 employees, you have to be managing everything as opposed to doing everything. There's got to be, there's basic rules in business. You can't have too many direct reports. And once you do, nothing works well. So correct. What's your role in the company, and what is your management philosophy overall?
So my role as in a company as CEO, however, I'm still doing operations, and I'm trying to remove myself from the business. I'm looking for more delegation and to delegate as much stuff as possible. We already delegated most of it. I'm not working with the designers at all. I'm not working with the copywriters. I'm not working with the clients. I'm not working with the customers. So this all been delegated. I'm working on a lead generation. I'm working on partnerships a lot. I'm making sure that every single piece, like every single stage, such as like product development, product research, like listing design and blah, 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 all of them, they are on places so that we're not having these ping pongs going on. Like it's your responsibility, it's yours. So everything's supposed to go as smooth as possible and as fast as it possible. So when, like, for example, someone is asking me, Bella, when it's supposed to be done? I'm like, this question is not exist in our company. If this task is there, means it's supposed to be now. If I need it in a month, I will let you know I need this task to be done in a month. But if I didn't put the deadline, means it's supposed to be now, and everybody knows about it. So, like, if you don't want to make me mad, don't ask me when it's supposed to be done, because it's supposed to be done now.
I don't want to make you mad. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like in general. So yeah, this is what I'm trying. This is like generally speaking my role, because I feel responsible. Even you cannot be responsible for someone else's business, but I still feel this my personal responsibility and guilt if something is going wrong. It's just again type of my personality. So that's why I'm trying to make sure we have everything smooth and everybody are happy and satisfied.
That's fantastic. Well, you're a driven person, and you're driven, that is your personality. So I could see that happening. All right, we're switching gears a little bit. Last couple of questions.
Yep.
What do you do outside the business for fun?
I like travels. I like to, maybe it's super obvious, maybe I am aging, but I like to go and have...
That's not obvious.
But I like to go and have fun with kids. Like the weekends are always off unless we have some emergency or events, like when we meet you at
Yeah.
different type of at different sides of United States. uh yeah, like I'm trying to spend as much time as possible with my family, because the family is the priority.
Yeah.
So this is like outside. Before I got pregnant the fourth time, I was doing skydiving. So I was
Oh,
going
wow.
on a sky, on a plane to the Titusville.
Wow.
So I love to do that. Of course, I like different type of extreme, like diving, scuba diving, and horses. I want to start. Uh, not the horse sport, but like just enjoy with the horses again.
Yeah.
We joined my son, so he's taking these classes, and I'm looking at it with like such a big happiness, because that was my love when I was a child. Yeah, so it's just like some fun stuff
Sounds
with family.
It sounds like you do everything. And, one of the things I learned early in my career, it's a statement that I would used to use, is I defend my weekends. So I defend them because somebody's in business is always trying to break into my weekends and say, hey, can we just have a conversation on Saturday? Or can we, have this meeting on Sunday? And I would say, no, weekends are for my family. And I still try to do that as much as humanly possible. And I canceled going to a very nice trip coming up. I want to be home. It's just the way it is.
I
So,
am taking my family there.
well, you're smart. You're good.
I said I'm coming with my family, so yeah, I'm taking all of them, and we're driving to 4 days retreat,
Yep.
like all
That's
together.
That's great. All right. So let me ask you about a book, whether it be a business book or a personal development book. I find so many people in the industry I'm older than everybody in this industry. And, I've read all the books, earlier in my career, and I still read all the time. But, it's always interesting to me to hear what are your favorite books, or a book or books that you would recommend to people?
It's interesting question, because for the past couple years I didn't have time to read much, and I even have couple books right here, and I'm opening
With
like
three
Brian.
kids and one on the way, it's
Yeah,
understandable.
and with the business I have Brian Tracy, I have Gary Vee, and all these like Stephen Cohen, like all these books on my shelf, and like every single time I'm taking time to read at least a little bit. However, given how much access you have right now to all the books with the advices about your business, regarding your business, I recommend to read something about your self development. Like there are so many different authors right now, like starting with Louisa Hay, ending
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, where you can actually look at yourself. Because when we're in this conveyor moving forward with like morning to night, you're doing so many stuff, you're forgetting about yourself, your
Hmm.
mental health, your physical health, how you're supposed to solve some issues, where you have to be sharp, where you have to be calm, where you have to work with the complexity of tasks, so timeline, schedule, everything, all this stuff. Because no matter how many businesses you build, no matter how much money you're gonna have, you still are a human being. So, and you have to make sure you have this self development. So pick any like author you want, and go with the self development. Try to do that.
I love it. I love self development. It's always been my go to. My whole career, my whole life, I've just always loved it. That's fantastic. Uh, that's a great way to leave everybody. But is there one final thought that you want to leave everybody that they should remember about you, Ritz Momentum, whatever,
Uh,
life?
yeah, as I said a little bit previously, there is no courage without fear. It's always high risk, high potential. Uh, you have just so much years of your life, so many years of your life, just, and the life is super short, and like every single year is super quick, and time flies. And where you keep thinking that, or I want to do it, or I don't want to do it, you're losing your time. You can always make more money. You can never have your time back. It's
That's right.
just impossible. If you took a risk and you lost, well, you'll figure out the way to make more money. But if
That's
you
right.
never tried, you lost your time. And I see how so many people, they're like, say, coming back to us and you're saying, well, I was following you for 5 years. I'm like, what? And you didn't launch anything yet? No, I just decided, I'm thinking I'm ready. So you lost
Wow.
5 years to make a decision that might change everything. And no matter what experience you'll get, you will grow because you will go through the experience.
That's right. You
So
know,
don't waste your time. This is what I want to say.
I love it. Bruce Lee, the famous martial artist, if I remember correctly, the way he put it was, failure is not the problem. Aiming low is the problem. So basically the same thing. Get off your ass and go out and just do it. Just take the first step. People ask me all the time, how do I start a business? Just take the first step. Just go do it.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's
or call Izabella and have her help you.
Well, yeah, we will do our best to help as we're doing every single day. However, you have to make a decision to move forward.
This has been great. I learned an awful lot. I know everybody's going to really enjoy this because we all wanted to learn more about you, and I'm blown away with your story. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing so much.
Thank you for asking, and thank you for this great idea to interview me on my podcast. It's really great, and I appreciate it a lot. Don, you're awesome. Like all your stories. When I was interviewing you last time, I was like, "Oh yeah," you said, "Do you want to ask me something?" Because it's so interesting. I really forgot to ask you questions. So when you're presenting, when you're going on the stage, you're amazing, and everything you do is really
Thank you.
awesome. And I was actually this week I was defending your services for a couple of my customers, my clients. I'm like, guys, it's the best way you can go about it, because even you have to share your profit, you can get out from the deal at any point the
Like
moment
that.
you, yeah, like it's so simple and easy, no penalties, nothing. You can
Nothing.
return this money like in a week. Like it's so simple.
That's it.
So, and like I
It's
love
the
your
truth.
approach. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it. That was great. My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.